One is the goal of life. We can decide, we can understand it intellectually. And other, we say it is the way of life. For an average person having an average intellect, they can understand any branch of the knowledge, whether it is a science or Eastern wisdom. But if the way of life does not align with the knowledge, then we do not progress. Meditation is all about awareness, and I am lazy. That is the way of my life. Then it will not happen. So, normally people think that, oh, let me close my eyes and focus on the breath, and I will reach to the higher state of meditation. Yes, you can reach for an hour. So, what happens? The mind rules the way of life. Mind will take over your attitude, your behavior after the practice, and you lose it. You start living again in the lack of awareness. We start living in ignorance, and that is why we do not succeed. I think, does it make a sense? The way of life and goal of life. We say the goal of life is self discovery. But if the way of life drives me somewhere else, then I'll have a disturbed sleep, I'll be in anxiety, I'll be carried away by small things in my life. Day before yesterday, I was giving a lesson to the New Jersey group. How is the weather today? I said, I will also ask you, how is the weather today in December and January? In January, you have a lot of snow. You cannot go out. Neither the snow chases nor the hot summer chases. You see the way of life. So, unless we have that sense of emotional maturity in our life, it is very difficult. And what are these things? It's just so hot. It's so cold. I heard a lot of times, we have two bodies and one soul. So you are giving more importance to the body. This is what the superimposition is. As long as we have this superimposition, it will not work. We will not be able to reach to that state of the consciousness which our masters are talking about. In the last session, we talked about the superimposition. Make it sure that journey of the Eastern wisdom is all about the truth, reality. How the intellect understands by the cause and effect relationship. If any cause becomes an effect, it is not the ultimate reality. I see you. How? Through my eyes. I've discussed this a couple of times. I see you through my eyes. So my eyes are a knower. Eyes is a seer. And you are the seeing. So in every knowledge, we have an object in the subject. Subject is the knower. And who is the knower? Knower is always conscious. Known is not conscious. I know the mouse. So even when I say I know you, I see your body. Body is a matter. I don't see your consciousness. We get carried away. I love you, I hate you. You are my honey and you are my money. And we are lost. That is why Master says, purify the mind. So now see, to see you, eyes or the sense organs are the cause, the knower to know the world outside. Let us examine each sense organ, whether they are really the ultimate cause to be a knower. So the simple question comes, can the eyes have an independent conscious entity? No. It borrows the consciousness from the mind. Oh, mind knows the sense organs. Sense organ cannot know the mind. Are you with me? Here and now, you need not to do any practice. Saturday's session is doing not practice understanding the ultimate cause. Oh yes, sense organs are known by the mind. It means sense organs are the objects to the mind and mind is the knower. Oh, so it is something, consciousness is there in the sense organ which makes the sense organ knower. Otherwise, the sense organs have no ability to see anything. So it is dependent. Anything that is dependent is not absolute reality. My mind is upset, who knows it? My mind is happy, who knows it? It's very hot, who knows it? Must be some entity behind the mind who knows the mind. Mind is an object, and that consciousness is the knower. That is the ultimate knower, and that ultimate knower is what the real self is. Can you have a consciousness as a cause and effect? Answer is no. Consciousness alone is. You cannot find another knower behind the consciousness because every knower has to be consciousness. Am I making it difficult? Every consciousness has to be the knower. You cannot have the two ultimate knower. If you have two ultimate knower, the consciousness cannot be all pervading. That consciousness, what we say, is the soul. Every time people ask me about the soul, I said, first understand I have three souls. Two souls in the feet and one soul is here in the heart. We don't know. And we just talk about it. We don't want to inquire. So this master says that when this knowledge is settled in the intellect every day, what happens? It brings the lifestyle changes. You're lying on the bed in the morning and the mind says, oh, let us keep lying down, my mood is upset. No. Answer is no. Let me become angry over this guy. No. That consciousness goes in the front. It takes over the mind. So you see that vision, goal of life and the lifestyle changes should happen together. If they do not happen together, no way. And that is one of the many reasons of the failure. So that is why we find our impulsive nature, our habit, do not change. So the master says, satsang. Where is satsang? Constant listening and learning over a length of time, contemplation and reflection over a length of time. So you find there is a discernment and dispassion in you. And that discernment and dispassion, as it continues in our day-to-day life, it starts changing you. The lifestyle changes and the lifestyle changes, calms down the mind, purifies the mind, and we awaken to that. That is the context I just talked about. So, in the second metaphor, you all remember perhaps, I believe so, that there is a part space and there is an infinite space all around the part. So, at a micro level, this so called, understand that is a wrong statement, but that is what people think that it is the right statement, that this body contains the soul, but fact is opposite, that consciousness is the container. So at a micro level, that consciousness is enclosed by the body, that space is enclosed by the part, is the real self. But when we use as an individual self, that is what the part is. Individual self means the consciousness plus body mind complex. That is our individual self. So find out the difference. Individual self and the real self are two different. The moment we say individual self, it is all personality. It is guided by the mind, intellect, thoughts, feeling, worries, pleasure, pain, etc. But individual self, what is the real self? Consciousness plus pure consciousness is there. It is the ultimate cause. That is what we talk about. It never dies. It never takes the birth. So superimposition is the body and the mind complex. The same way, on the supreme consciousness, the entire world is superimposed on it. Entire world. Similarly, macro, micro. On that consciousness, the space, the five elements, all the living species, the world of the name and the form is superimposed. Who am I? When I say I have a name and the form, that is superimposed on my consciousness, that is what the real self. The same consciousness is known as the supreme consciousness, superimposed by the world outside, which is independent. So we have covered the four metaphors, four consciousnesses. We say individual self, real self, we say the world consciousness and the supreme consciousness. In many religions, they have some ideas and they say this supreme consciousness is nothing but the God. And we take it blindly. So again, remember, why we use the word superimposition. Superimposition is not a compound. In chemistry, we say what is compound? When the two or more elements go together and it creates something new. Not like H2O. Two atoms of hydrogen, one atom of oxygen. So it is a new thing has been created. Compound, it undergoes a physical and the chemical changes. Here the superimposition, at the first level it is the same, but they cannot meet. So we use the word superimposition because they cannot meet. They are always separate. How come? The body is separate from the consciousness, mind is separate from the consciousness. So as though it is superimposed, consciousness remains independent, body and the mind continues constant changes. We take ourselves as the individual self. When we take ourselves as the individual self, that is the superimposition, and then we take ourselves differently. We take ourselves as a body, as a mind. I take myself as I'm stressed. I'm into anxiety. I'm into duality. But it is the mind. I have a pain. Pain is in the body. Can you ever imagine the pain can be in the consciousness? Answer is no. So understand clearly what is this superimposition. Superimposition. That consciousness does not go under any chain. That is why we say it is so, as though it is one layer. One layer is the consciousness, and another layer of the mind and the body and the thoughts and the feeling are superimposed like a curtain. Curtain do not mix with the windows. But if we do not change our lifestyle, say for example you are lazy, so there is already a superimposition which will prevent you to recognize and realize the higher consciousness because it is already superimposed. Where is the sun? Let me see. There is no sun. Why? It's a blackout curtain. I can't believe you. There the ignorance comes. So this master uses this metaphor, a pot space and the clouds. Now you see that when we see an empty pot, its emptiness is clearly apparent. We describe it as an empty pot. Now the pot is filled with the water. So what we say, the pot is filled with the water. When the pot is shaken, we see the reflection of the moon and the stars in it. That attracts our attention. What happens? We become oblivious of the emptiness altogether. Buddha is talking about this emptiness. Buddha is not talking, oh, let me close my eyes, I see the dark space, and now I force my mind to secure the emptiness. No, he is not talking of that emptiness. No worries, even if it is difficult, if you listen to it again and again. So the master is talking, that is where the delusion comes. That is where the delusion comes and the ignorance comes. When I'm able to see that emptiness in the pot, that is what the pure awareness is. But I can only see that emptiness if the mind is uncluttered, if the mind lives in the pure state. We cannot see it. So that is why we give tremendous importance on the purification of the mind. Any object is there in the mind, it becomes an object for the knower, and the mind will take over. Mind will say, I am the knower. I know this object. Whenever we become aware of the object, we lose sense of that ultimate knower. The mind comes in between as a curtain, as a superimposed, and it prevents the realization of our true nature. This is what the master is talking about. And I've told you, I've given an example. The impure mind behave with the ignorance. The impure mind has many preferences. The moment it has any preferences, it is cluttered. The moment it is cluttered, it will create likes and dislikes. Join the soul. So that is why Master says keep on analyzing, applying the power of discernment to separate. Where to separate? You have to separate in your mind. So if you are not living that kind of a lifestyle, you will not be able to separate. And if you are not able to separate, you will not be able to find out the ultimate cause. We're not talking of any religion, cult, dogma, belief. It's a pure understanding. I'm repeating this one more example. It is, you have heard it. The iron ball is put into the fire, it becomes a red hot iron ball. But the nature of the iron ball is neither red nor hot. And the nature of the fire is not the shape of a ball. You see the perfect superimposition. How do you know? You take the iron ball out of the fire, it moves into its essential nature. It again becomes black and it becomes natural. So you remove the fire, fire has no shape at all. So as though it does not happen, but as though consciousness takes some properties of the body and the mind takes some properties of the consciousness. When the body and the mind take some properties of the consciousness, it says, I'm the body, I'm the mind. As though, I'm using the word, it appears as if the fire is of the shape of a ball. Same way, the real self, body and mind takes the properties of the consciousness, and consciousness knows that I am all pervading. I never take the birth and I never die. So that goes into the body and the mind, and then the mind starts working. No, I have to live. I have to live forever. That idea coming from the consciousness. Superimposition. So that is the ignorance. Body cannot live forever. Why? It's a world of name and form. What is and anything that is of the name and the form will have to change. Will have to change. And that consciousness, as though, borrows some properties of the body and the mind. I am stressed, I have lot of problems. What should I do? I had a soulmate, now sourmate, and then I'm planning to remarry. That is what happens in daily life. Red hot iron ball. Remember, red hot iron ball cannot be red, cannot be hot. Fire cannot have the shape of the ball. So the more and more we repeat this understanding, we will be able to separate this body-mind complex from that consciousness. Where in the mind? You cannot separate it physically. That will be a suicide. We are not asking you to commit a suicide. So what happens in ignorance, when we live in that ignorance, it appears as though the individual self is hiding the real self. So we have a notion that this individual self, that the real self is living inside the body and the mind, but fact is that that real self and the consciousness is all pervading. We have another wrong notion. So when you are awakened, then you do not experience this is a problem. So we are going slowly to the next verse. Let me repeat the next verse, what it says. It says, due to this, Master says, due to this problem of mutual superimposition, I always claim I am an individual self with a body mind complex, not the real self, which is pure consciousness. Why? Because of lack of discernment, because of lack of analysis, because of lack of understanding. So I cannot realize what I am really is. Then what happens? The problem of not able to see clearly starts from the beginning of our birth. At the time of the birth, I'm totally ignorant. So mind is a reflected consciousness. So mind picks up instinctively and impulsively. I cry, mother fed me the milk. I wet the bed, mother changed it. My mind creates an impression that the peace and happiness comes from outside, not from inside. But it has to be done. It is a necessary evil. But as we grow older, we are culturally, socially, heavily conditioned by our society, culture, and the religion that do this, do that. We create a doer in us, and that doer is the ego. And that ego lives. It does not want to leave that ego at any place. So the master says, this is the ignorance. It is a beginningless ignorance. But it can be removed by knowledge. It can be removed by understanding. It can be removed by awakening. So the problem of lack of awareness, lack of understanding between the ultimate cause and the body-mind complex, that is beginningless. So the master says this is a primal ignorance. We all are suffering from since our birth. Because of that ignorance, reflected consciousness is declared as the real I. In the first metaphor, we understand that the consciousness is one, mind is the second, is the reflected medium. So when the sun falls on the mirror, which is the reflected medium, is the mind. So it gives the reflected light. So that consciousness, when reflected in the mind, becomes a reflected consciousness. That reflected consciousness is I, ego. Can you say reflected consciousness ever exists? It is only in a reflection. It is only a reflection. When you stand before the mirror, your image is reflected in the mirror. Do you ever say that image is me? Do you make the eyebrow in the image of you? Or do you make the physical? That problem comes. That is what the superimposition causes the ignorance. I take myself as the body and the mind, and problem starts, it never comes to an end. It takes such a huge problem in our life. At every day, in every moment. You don't look so smart, your eyebrow looks different today. Now see that what will happen to you. And again, you go and look into the mirror, you are looking into the image. Reflected consciousness. Mind, ego, all are reflected elements. There comes the I thought, and we claim that this I thought is me. I am stressed. Is it not a thought? Yes, it is a thought. Examine it. Where you are stressed, you will not find. You are stressed. Body has a pain. No, body has a pain. So mind, due to the ignorance, takes for granted that I am the body. Obviously, then I am the stress, mental stress, mood change, etc., etc. I'm unable to recognize the consciousness which is present behind that I thought. I thought cannot exist without the consciousness. Can you see? I thought cannot exist without the consciousness. Mixture, superimposition. Can it happen in a day? No. Constant contemplation and reflection. Then what happens? When I say I am stressed, then I claim that I am the body and the mind. Then what happens? The same I thought says that I am limited. How can you say that I am unlimited? You cannot imagine, you cannot believe it. Well, now ignorance is already there. One thought of the I, from the second thought, and the third thought, and the fourth thought, and the fifth. There is a total superimposition. In that superimposition, mind says, don't talk about the real self, don't talk about the pure self. It does not want to examine. That is what the primal ignorance is. We all are suffering from that primal ignorance. A tiger cub was lost in the herd of a sheep. So he started behaving like a sheep. He grew up, started eating the grass. Master tells us this story. So when he grew up and he was living in the herd of the sheep, one tiger saw that, what the heck, why the tiger is there? Why he's eating the grass? He should recognize the real nature. You see, he does not need any practice. He's already a tiger. But he has lost his awareness of the real nature. This is what happens with us. We all are tigers. We become sheep. So the parable goes, the master tells us the story that one day the tiger caught this tiger cub, pushed him near the river, asked him to see your face. See your face. It is not a practice. He saw the face and the tiger roared and asked the tiger cub to roar. When the tiger cub made the sound, what happened? He recognized his real nature. That is what this master is saying. But if we do not change our lifestyle, I start going to the first. where I started the talk. If I do not change the lifestyle by which I will achieve the goal of life is to find the real self. Goal of life is to earn the $10 million, for example. And if I do not change my lifestyle, I wake up around noon and I do not pay attention to the project, what happens? Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Then we live in imagination and fancies and hallucinations. So the individual self is that I thought has no clue whether I'm limitless, whether I'm all pervading consciousness. It has no clue at all. Tiger cub has no clue. Do you see? There comes the importance of a teacher. Teacher who is teaching only from the knowledge of the Eastern wisdom. He doesn't say anything on his own. Teacher has to become a knowledge, and the knowledge has to represent a teacher. There must be some type of tiger who recognizes you are a tiger. Why you are behaving like a sheep? Come on. Someone has to tell you. That is why we say there is an importance of a teacher. And that is why we say they are known as the guru. Guru means ignorance to wisdom. Understand, my friend. We all are that pure consciousness. We all are that tiger. Because the individual self, the way we are born and brought up, heavily conditioned by the society, culture, use of the personal now, I, me, and mine. It has cluttered completely my head. I have to declutter it. This knowledge declutters, unclutters completely. And that I so to say, uh, that I confuses. It moves from one set of ignorance to the second set of ignorance. And it keeps on doing the same thing again and again and again and expecting a different result. It will never happen unless we awaken, unless the real self, unless the goal of life and the lifestyle, they go together. If the lifestyle does not change, I will continue to live in ignorance. Lifestyle is basically governed by the mind, the habitual mind, the instinctive mind. Instinctive mind. Why I laid this foundation for the next verse. We will go deep inside what exactly is the ignorance through the intellect and how this ignorance through its two functions continues the ignorance in our life. You see, master doesn't stand, until it goes so deep. So the next week we will talk about how this ignorance, which has two functions, keeps on, forces us, continues to live in the ignorance and continue to live in suffering. So you have to listen and understand this week before we go to the next. Close your eyes. Eyes are closed. Eyes are a physical matter. Mind hurts. Mind heard. What it heard? Close your eyes. It is the individual self, my friend. Pay attention. That is one way to look at it. Very good. So the individual self. We have to use the individual self all the time while living in this material world. Why? Material world. And mind is also a matter. Look at it. You cannot do without it. But we recognize that it is the individual self, it is not the real self. That care has to be taken. So I'm just moving at a very higher level first, and then we will go at the. So when I say close your eyes, you are aware. The individual says, I close my eyes, I cannot close the eyes of others. So I find the one limitation there. You see, the individual self has already limited you. We miss that kind of awareness. Anyhow, being comfortable. Yes, being comfortable. Now see where you experience the comfort. If you experience the comfort, means who is that you? It is the individual consciousness. Look at it. You have to see it clearly. Red hot iron ball. Oh. But why I am not able to see? Because of ignorance. It is a fact. The fire is different from the iron ball. Consciousness is different from the body and the mind. But I'm not able to see it. And that is what we have discussed today. It is because of the ignorance. But what happens, you have heard about a comfort zone. So now you see the comfort zone. Look at the head and the neck. Feel the sensation. Experience sensation, comfort, and steadiness. So for a higher seeker, this sensation, comfort, and steadiness, this experience is a comfort zone. I have to go further. We stop there. Oh, meditation brings us relaxation. That is not the end of the journey of meditation. You see, all the 99.9% of the research studies say meditation helps you to reduce your anxiety. That is not our goal. We are not part of the modern psychology. We are discovering an entity which is permanent peace and happiness. See the striking difference. Again, after the meditation, you read some research paper and they say it gives you a peace and happiness. Come on. We are going deeper inside. Are you becoming aware of the red hot iron ball? Superimposition. So that is why what I said. So look at the head and the neck, sensation, comfort, and steadiness. That it's a wrong statement, but for the right reason. What I say, look deep inside your head. So your individual self, that I reflected consciousness, becomes aware of the, say, emptiness or darkness or yes, that is good. Be aware of that. So what is this emptiness? It is the space. And then what I say, space is awareness and awareness is space. Why? Objectless state. It has to be understood. Understanding comes by repetition consciously of listening and learning. See another perspective the Master makes us understand, my friends. Look at the entire body. No worries. Look at the entire body. Body is an object. Who is looking? The mind is looking. That I thought is looking as other thought. What is other thought? Is the body thought. Here is the body. Here I am. Oh, are you aware? Here is an I thought, which I claim I am, and here I claim here is the body. Then the third thought comes, I am the body. No issue. Experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness at this moment. Did you created that experience of sensation, comfort, and steadiness, or it is because of the properties, red hot iron ball, mind mixed with the physical body? Behind there is a consciousness that give rise to a sensation which the I thought is experiencing. You are not doing anything. You are simply understanding. You are picking up the threads of awareness. This master never advocated any practice. Condition. You are a seeker. If you are not a seeker, we have to become a seeker by a lot of steps and practices. Anyhow, sensation, comfort, and steadiness in the body. In the mind, I experience pertaining to the body. Look inside, it is the space. Here, what happens at the level of the ignorance, that is what we are going to learn next week. What happens here? We need to be aware of that. What happens here? Oh, I see the space. You are right. I see the darkness. I see the emptiness. How can you see anything in the darkness? There has to be an awareness in the darkness. That is why I say space is awareness and awareness is space. I put you into a dark room and I say, find out who are there. You say there is no one. You cannot say there is no one. You were there. Only you notice that there is nothingness. And that noticing that there is nothingness in this room means awareness. Am I right when I say space is awareness and awareness is space? That awareness pervaded the entire darkness or the space. That is why it knows it is a space and it is pervaded into the entire darkness. That's why space is awareness and awareness is the space. Done. Suddenly our I thought or the mind or the ego pricks. Some thought comes, we forget. That is the beauty of understanding. My goodness, so I'm pure awareness? Yes. There is no way I cannot be anything less than that. No, the I thought says what to do then. Pay attention. I'm just laying a foundation for the following session also and also today's. So I thought what to do then. That idea of what to do coming from the past impression, past thoughts, ignorance. If I do something, I will achieve. How to deal with that? Look at it. How to deal with that? What to do to allow the sun to enter into my room? Remove the curtain. You have not made any effort to allow the sun to enter into the room. It is waiting. So that is why we say it is a non-practice. All meditations are non-practice. Be very clear. No, but I removed the curtain. At least that I did the practice. Yes, you removed the ignorance. You became a qualified seeker. You need not to invite the sun to enter. Sun entered naturally. Naturally, that consciousness identified with I am entered. I'm just translating the simile and the understanding. And because this master says the space in the pot cannot be separated from the space outside the pot, it is one consciousness. So that real self is all pervading. So master removes another wrong notion. Inside the body, the soul is. No. Inside the consciousness, body is, mind is, thought is. Inside the water, the waves are. Inside the gold, ring is, necklace is. Earring is. Ignorance is gone. The way the curtain hides the sun, I thought hides the real self. Again, the I thought says, what I'm going to do next. You are not going to do next. You are already a sunlight in which the I thought appears and I thought dissolves. I thought says what to do, just become aware of it. So that very pressure of what to do dissolves there. Are you getting it? I believe so. You need not to do anything. What it means, who says I have to do something, it is I thought. Why it says I have to do something? Because I have a sense of incompleteness. Why I have a sense of incompleteness? Because of the impurity of the mind inside. You see, the entire chain and sequential level of the impurities of the mind causes that ignorance, and we keep trying and trying and trying. There is an awareness behind I thought, behind I am stressed, behind I am happy, behind I am related, behind I have a pain. Due to the impurities of the mind, we are not able to separate the two. Hence the ignorance, hence the suffering in our life. Real I always shines. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences. If you have any question and doubt, you are free to ask. How are you, Stephen?
I'm good, thank you. I found today to be interesting because almost everything you talked about today is what I've been thinking about all week long.
Good.
And my topic, I mean, I have nothing profound or anything to add to it, but it was just the separation of realizing that there exists this real self and the I self, and and the thing I kept going over again, and you mentioned today, was the fact that we spend our entire lives with our family, our friends, our society, talking about how we're the I, and the real self was always pushed into the background or made to not exist, and trying to make an effort to recognize that real self, and bring it to the forefront, and not be allow that the I to take over everything. And a lot of it is, this recognition, and talk about I, and I stands for ignorance, and it was, I did a little traveling this week, and just looking at people and observing what's going on and recognizing the ignorance that is just, it's so obvious, and then seeing how their ignorance is still triggering my ignorance.
Yes.
And so it's like, okay, I still have a lot of work to do here.
Lord.
So that's just a lot of the stuff that's going on. And through once we closed our eyes and went through this, there were just absolute moments of, I knew the real self was there.
Beautiful.
But so was the ignorance. So it's
Beautiful.
it's becoming aware, and that's important.
Two important points you mentioned, everyone should know, everyone has heard it, but I'm repeating it. One is that when I follow the path of the Eastern wisdom, and the very beginning it says there is a real self and there is a false self. So how to start the journey? Pay attention. So I have to start the journey believing that there is a real self, pending inquiry. That belief is not subjected by any curt dogma blindness. That is very important point. The moment I enter into the path of the Eastern wisdom, and no, you told me that there is a real self. Who is saying this? This is what the false I is saying. But it is still ignorant of it. I have to inquire it. That is the first point, we should pay attention to it. And the second point, as Stephen has explained, I claim all the time this I is the real self, this I thought is the real self, so I become a soulmate of someone. And after a few weeks, I become a soulmate of someone. Today, the same I becomes the stress, tomorrow it becomes the pleasure. Oh, I have to do a lot of work to achieve pleasure and happiness. And what happens? I'm now 90 years old. Oh, I have not achieved what I could have achieved. You cannot achieve what you could have achieved. Both are imagination, both are ignorance. Why? Having the $60 billion, you cannot be happy. That understanding should, if that enters into your brain, it changes the consciousness. How are you, Dennis?
I'm good, and I have a question.
Yes, okay.
The question is about this mutual superimposition. When you say that the real self or the consciousness acquires some properties from the individual self and vice versa, I understand how the individual self being the subject for change, for continuous change, how can it acquire properties? But how can the real self or supreme consciousness acquire something? Would that not mean that it is also changing?
Yes,
That
yes.
that is the first question. And,
Yeah.
and there's also a second question that came to me during the meditation. Who exactly is getting awakened or enlightened? If my individual self is nothing but ignorance, then this individual self has to completely dissolve or disappear to become enlightened. So once enlightened, then there is no individual self left. Am I right?
It's a beautiful question. The answer to the second question is explained by this master in 100 verses. So we are already following that path step by step. Now, answer to this question is very important to understand that how the consciousness or the real self, which is all pervading, which is not subjected to the chains, acquires the properties or inherits the properties of the not self. Not self. The sunlight, now this is my east, and sunlight has entered from my door, which is a glass door inside, and I see the light. Can I say that it is because of the sun changed, that is why I see the light in my room? Sun is the same, the light is the same. As though, that is why I stressed more and again, as though consciousness, as though, acquires the properties or borrows the properties, as though seemingly. Why seemingly? That is why it is ignorance. What is seemingly is ignorance. But consciousness does not have to do anything. It need not to acquire any properties of anything. Mirror is in front and the sun is there in front of the mirror. So mirror has to reflect the light. Mind is there. So it becomes a reflected consciousness. That is a short answer of the first question. But we will cover the second question in 100 verses. We will remove completely every layer of the ignorance. So you have to wait for a while. But the question is very genuine. How are you, Brandy?
I'm good, thanks. Let me see if I can explain it really quickly. I had a realization about consciousness and I-ness in relationship to my cell phone. So I have the cell phone that has unlimited data, but when the Wi-Fi is on my cell phone, it's like always searching for connection, right? And it runs the battery down. And all I have to do to preserve it is turn the Wi-Fi off because it's got all that it needs. So like am I making sense?
Yes, I understood that.
Yeah, so I was like, we keep running the battery down on the cell phone because it's searching for something that it already has. And I have to just switch it off.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful simile or a metaphor that I thought keeps searching permanent happiness and peace in the same I thought. But that I thought keeps on changing, so it is not at all possible. It drains its energy, it loses the connection to the reality, and ultimately it causes us to live in ignorance. So once we recognize that, yesterday I was too much disturbed, but I took it so lightly. You take it that way. Oh, it was very hard. Hard to the body and the mind, not to the consciousness. Come on. In the very beginning, I told, she was telling me, how is the weather today? And she smiled. I said, I will ask you, how is the weather in December and January? So you instantly separate. It's a beautiful metaphor. But you have to keep this metaphor settled in your mind and see how it happens. Life changes, beautiful. How are you, Terry? That's a kind of a revelation. Once you understand this journey, whether Dennis is asking a question, whether Stephen is explaining, and Brandy, it comes out on your own. You did not think that I will use this metaphor. Those questions come spontaneously. That triggers, it means you are purifying the mind. How are you, Terry?
I was having a question question
Okay.
about the superimposition. At a certain point, you said it was like, I think you just meant this as a metaphor.
As a metaphor?
That's probably why, because I was thinking, how can the real self be in a plane? If it's all pervading, it can't be in a plane.
Consciousness is
I
there. Consciousness is there like a sun. You put the yellow plastic paper. You put the red plastic paper. Did anything happen to the sun? Nothing. But what do you see? You see the yellow light, you see the red light. It is a superimposition. Neither the sun did anything, nor the yellow paper did anything. That is real superimposition.
It's just a way of saying it.
Yeah, it is to explain the higher concept, to reach to a point of awareness where we falsify what can be falsified. You cannot falsify the consciousness. You can falsify the rest of the I thought, its feeling, its experiences, its pain, its pleasure. So you are left with what? Only one consciousness. That is the ultimate reality. That is who we are. Whether we are in an enclosed space of the pot space, it doesn't make any difference. The space inside pot and outside is the same. It cannot be separated. I cannot separate the space inside my room and outside. Those skyscrapers in 9/11 were destroyed. Did you destroy the space? No. Space remained as it is. I thought builds the skyscraper. I thought demolish itself. I thought lives in stress. I thought lives in anxiety. But as such, they are seemingly anxiety. So from today, whenever any anxiety and the stress comes, have a big laugh. Thank you, mind. I know what you are doing. And then see what happens. How are you ever?
Thank you, sir. The mind was good, just calm. It's getting open to the thing that whatever is the outer situation, I can still be in calm and peaceful. And it's also learning that there's a long way to go to see each impurity and then free from those impurities as well.
Yeah. That's another beautiful way to present. You see that you all have presented a different perspective. How? Through the intellect. How? Through your experience. And that is where the journey of mindfulness lies. The more and more you understand, the more and more the clarity comes, it helps you. Beautiful, my friend. You all are contributing much more than I am contributing. You see that, I feel that way. How are you, Ashok?
Sir, I am fantastic. It was very excellent meditation, peace and cool. Everything is fine. Thank you.
Everything is fine. Wonderful. I appreciate you all shared your understanding. What is that understanding? Cause and effect relationship. How the cause and effect relationship works? It works in the field of awareness. If the awareness is not there, I cannot find cause and effect relationship. What is the ultimate reality? It is the pure consciousness. Beautiful. Thank you for contributing. That is all for today. We'll meet again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Namaste, everyone.
Thank you. Namaste.